session and hope that anyone that's missing the first minutes doesn't lose too much. So, welcome to Drupal 10 Survival Manual for developers, agencies, and clients. I do apologize a bit for the clickbaity title, but well, it got you guys here, so yay. So, I'm João Ventura, a senior developer at 1x Internet. I was a co-organizer of Drupal Dev Days Lisbon and Drupal Europe, and I co-maintain a few contrib modules. I've been in Drupal.org since 14 years already, so not a big record, but a lifetime also. I'm Portuguese. I live near Darmstadt in Germany. And so I want to start by giving a very short overview of the Drupal core release cycles. So the good old days of Drupal 4 to 5 and 6, we had an average life cycle of about 6 years, and the end of life of a version was on the exact same day of the second next release. So as you can see, not well, but I hope you can see it, that Drupal 6 was released, and on that day, Drupal 4 reached its end of life. Very easy to see also, Drupal 5 reached the end of life on the day of Drupal 7 release. The same didn't happen exactly with Drupal 6 and 8, but it was almost there. And now we've got the famous Drupal 7, the longest supported version. It was released in early 2011, and it will be supported for nearly 12 years when it reaches the end of life in November 28, 2022, which is 1.5 years from now. And to be honest, as a Drupal 7 module maintainer, I cannot wait to see the day that that Drupal 7 reaches the end of life. And now we reach the current timeline. So we've been having Drupal 8 since about 5 years now, and we're nearly at the end of life, which will happen in only 200 days, in November 2nd, 2021. Drupal 9 has been released already since about 7 months ago, and it will also have an end of life in 2.5 years. And just over 14 months from now, Drupal 10 will be released. And that one, depending on whether it uses Symfony 5 or 6, might even have a very short life cycle also of about 3.5 years. So as you can see, the life cycle of Drupal has become a little bit shorter, at least for those that are used to Drupal 7 and its incredible 12-year lifespan. So one thing that is important to note here, yearly, a major Drupal version will become unsupported. And the graph on the left is the current usage share of Drupal on each major version. And when I press the button, you'll see what will happen yearly from now on, with every November, starting with Drupal 8 being unsupported, then Drupal 7, then Drupal 9. And by November 2023, every Drupal site in existence will either be unsupported or running Drupal 10. And the same will happen in November 2025 with Drupal 10, if that one ships with Symfony 5. So at that time, we will all need to be in Drupal 11. I'm ignoring here the long-term support options, which are will be available for Drupal 7, are available already for Drupal 6. There will be no long-term support option for Drupal 8 because it's so easy to upgrade. So what is the road to Drupal 10? It passes through Drupal 9. So if you're in Drupal 6, yeah, just move. Maybe create a new site from scratch. Now, seriously, if you're on Drupal 7, you've got an old site. There is very strong support for Drupal 6 and Drupal 7 to Drupal 8, 9 core migrations. That means that every module that went into core has an upgrade path. The same cannot be said about contributed modules. There's a lot of contributed modules that do not have a Drupal 7 to Drupal 8 upgrade path. And the sad story here is that many of the Drupal 7 modules are de facto abandoned. Most module maintainers do Drupal for a living, and we don't do new Drupal sites, new Drupal 7 sites anymore. So since we're working with Drupal 8 and Drupal 9, we're not actually updating and adding features and even checking bugs that much in Drupal 7 modules. So for the upgrade from Drupal 7 to Drupal 8 or 9 is a bit of effort intensive on custom modules and themes. The upgrade path is there, and there are pretty good tools. There's the new tool from Acquia to accelerate the migrations. But I would also say think about one possible option to rebuild from scratch already in Drupal 9. Your Drupal 7 site cannot be possibly younger than 5 years. And by upgrading, you will on one end have all the data that you've had for 5 years, and on the other, you'll have all the data. So you have this deadline for November 2022 to upgrade from Drupal 7. From Drupal 8, it's pretty easy. Just check the deprecations. There's a lot of tools to help you. There's no migrations necessary. Just upgrade to the latest Drupal 8.9 and test with the latest Drupal 9.x, at the moment 9.1 something, and do it on production. Well, maybe not on a Friday, and you have until November to do that. A bit of my 15 seconds of fame from last year. There's this tweet where I confirmed that Drupal 9 was the easiest upgrade ever. It took me 3 years to migrate a Drupal 7 site, and I even had a few migrations being created. So I supported the ECK and the feeds migrations from Drupal 7 to Drupal 8. And even then, it took me 3 years to do the migration. And I migrated to Drupal 9 about 2 weeks before Drupal 9 was released. So good job, everyone. So there are, however, a lot of people that are unable to migrate. And they're asking, when can I use the Pants module on Drupal 9? Truth be told, Drupal 9 was released 10 months ago. Only half of the modules are ready for Drupal 9. Luckily, 100% of the top 300 are in that situation. 25% of the remaining, so this 19 plus that part, can be already updated with the existing Rector patch. The rest needs some work. But to be honest, the reason why these 25% are in this situation is they are de facto abandoned. The maintainers are not maintaining this module. They haven't felt the need to do the simple RTBC commit that probably sitting on their issue queue for 1 year already. So a lot of modules will never be ready. Well, and for those that have actually managed to upgrade to Drupal 9, you're there. Congratulations. Now you have nothing to do? No. Now you need to start preparing for Drupal 10. The deadline is November 2023, but I would honestly recommend that you plan to move to Drupal 10 when Drupal 10.1 is released at about end of 2022. So why Drupal 10 and why this hectic, fast-paced major upgrade happening so often? So this is the new normal. Symfony 4 will be end of life in November 2023, and Symfony has a 2-year major version cycle. So Drupal 9 comes with Symfony 4. Hopefully Drupal 10 will come with Symfony 6, which will be released more or less at the same time as Drupal 10. And if that happens, then we have a slight more runway or breathing space. But there are other things that that are being upgraded and that we need to, that we depend and need to upgrade as well. So CK editor, PHP, and a lot like jQuery, a lot of other libraries that we depend on are being worked on. Work is needed on the ongoing initiatives, and we need maintainers to create the Drupal 10 compatible module releases very, very soon. So the one thing that will happen is there's going to be a churn of modules. We are risking losing half the Drupal 8 modules, never getting ready to Drupal 9. I will probably have a similar churn rate also happening with the Drupal 9 modules going to Drupal 10. So this is, funny enough, there's already a URL where you can check the deprecation status for Drupal 10. And the graph looks like that. I don't know how realistic it can be, because I'm pretty sure there's going to be a lot more deprecations coming in. So in December 2021, Drupal 9.3 will freeze all APIs, and the module maintainers can, from then on, work again on fixing everything. And the good thing, most of the tools for Drupal 9 readiness can already be reused. As Gabor just said, there's some work needed on Drupal Rector, but I'm pretty sure that will also be there. And we can for sure use them again for doing the Drupal 10 upgrade. So what do I want to say to developers? Keep up with the core changes and deprecations. Keep having keep checking your modules for any deprecations and upgrade. Help also with the core initiatives and testing, because the more features, especially Symfony 6, we can get into Drupal, the less work will be needed in the near future. Share module maintainership with others. Honestly, the one-man show is pretty and nice, and I have it with a lot of my modules. But if you share it with other people, then when you're not interested in the module, maybe one of the others is. The reverse is, maybe instead of creating the Better Pants modules, maybe collaborate on one of the existing modules. Also, keep it simple, because the more features you add to a module, the harder it is to maintain. And a lot of the features I see being requested in the issue queue for my modules are stuff I don't want to maintain. They're interesting for a very niche scenario. And you just tell the person, okay, I will give you maybe a hook or an event here that you can extend and do that thing. But I don't want to be maintaining all that code that you want to contribute. And be an open source advocate in your organization. We need people to bring other Drupal community members and to organize and participate in Drupal 10 readiness events. For agencies, I would say identify the go-to modules. So those modules that you keep using again and again, that are critical for your Drupal 9 and Drupal 10 readiness, and support those modules. If you have released modules in Drupal.org, even if you don't use them, please maintain them or pass the maintainership to someone else. Support the participation in open source with employee time, or host events, Drupal camps, or whatever, and share back with your code with community. Maybe in some cases as part of another module. If you patch a module for internal stuff, do it in an issue also in Drupal.org. And you should have the QA infrastructure in place to simplify regression testing, because we are going to be doing a lot of major version upgrades. And this is one of the elements that I say here in the second bullet point, is you should upgrade everything regularly, so that you're not jumping so much every time that the major version comes. You don't have a 2-year technical debt since the last time that you upgraded the site to the latest releases of everything. I would also say for site builders, when you have multiple alternatives, just select the one that's best supported. So there are a few key points that you can investigate. Are there any recent commits or releases? If a module hasn't had a commit in 2 years, it's probably abandoned. On the other hand, some modules, they're just perfect. And they haven't had a commit in 2 years because they haven't needed. But you can easily check that by also seeing the number of RTBC issues, how many open issues there are. A perfect module does not have 20 issues on RTBC waiting for the module maintainer to pay attention. And detect when you're already on Drupal 9, and maybe you can also detect the modules that haven't had any upgrades in recent times. Try and take action. And in some cases, do you really need that module? And one possible, very simple solution to the problem of this module is never going to be upgraded is, I don't care. I'll just stop using it. For client and end users, the message I want to say, Drupal 10 will be just another major version update. So run upgrade check tools regularly. You can automate in CI also the Drupal rector or the Drupal status or the update status module, and check when your site is ready to upgrade to Drupal 10, just upgrade. There's no need to wait for the Drupal 9 end of life. One thing that's very important for the community is to support the community. Either there's some module maintainers that just are doing open source for a living. They need financial help to keep developing the module. The Web4 module is a very notorious example of this, that the module maintainer needs our help. He's created quite an infrastructure, and honestly, I don't think that if he cannot maintain that module, I don't think anyone else can, at least not easily. And if you have a module that you're detecting, I cannot upgrade without this module being upgraded because I depend on it. Maybe consider, and if that module is not upgraded, maybe consider that paying for someone to develop that module to the new version. One lesson that I want for people to understand is this is the new normal. A Drupal site nowadays in Drupal 8 will most likely be upgraded to Drupal 9 very soon, and hopefully, unless it's retired, and just a few years after that, it will be upgraded to Drupal 10. And if the site is really successful and well maintained, maybe to Drupal 11 at some point. And so don't be afraid of major version upgrades. This is totally the new normal in Drupal now. And finally, are there any questions?
So I see one question here in the Q&A section from Aaron, posted it on behalf of Evan Grimm. How is project support level measured?
Yeah, so that's a bit hard. I would say the major indicator there is clearly the time since the last release. a module that is maintained doesn't go more than 6 months without a new release. There's the more it is used, the more bugs will be reported. No, nothing is ever perfect. The more the maintainer is also thinking about, hey, I did that in that way because at the time I didn't have time or the will to do this nice feature, but now I have some time and I want to do this feature now. So I'll do it, and you'll see that as a new feature in the module coming up. One example of that is I'm working a lot now with OpenID Connect, and I took the module and it was using only config objects, and I've now upgraded it to be using config entities, which allow you to so the module uses plugins, and one of the problems before was you could only use one instance of each plugin, and one of the plugin called generic could be used for a lot of things, and the recommendation for using multiple connections using the generic plugin was to actually duplicate the code so that you could use and call it generic 2, so that you could actually reuse that plugin with another OAuth server. And now I made it that it can be simply using the same plugin, and you don't need to do anything particular on your side. Certainly not duplicating code. So that is one measure. However, I also have another module which I haven't done a release, or actually I had not done a release in about a year. But the reason for that one is I don't have anything to do there anymore. There's like one open issue, which is something that I don't have the time to actually do. There's no RTBCs on that module at all, and so that is a good indicator also. If the module has not had any release, but there's also not a lot of open issues, and there's no RTBC issues. And here what I want to stress out a lot is also getting issues to RTBC. Please, people, go into, if you use a patch that's somewhere in Drupal, don't just use it. Also comment on it and say, hey, we used this and it worked and it solved our problem. So mark it RTBC. Module maintainers really appreciate it, because we don't have the time to be following up every possible patch and issue in every module.
There's a new question from Patti. How much effort will it be to go from D9 to D10? Like, do we need to tell our clients it is just a normal core update, or do you think it will take longer than 8.8 to 8.9?
It will take longer for one simple reason. With the upgrade from 8.8 to 8.9, we can keep using the old version of the modules that we used when we built the site. So a version from 2 years ago is perfectly usable still with Drupal 8.9. Moving to Drupal 9 or 10, you need to be on a new major version in most cases. So modules that I remember that we had to switch major versions was the link it module, that we were using one version on the Drupal 8 sites, and then the Drupal 9 sites need another major version. So, and that the same will happen with Drupal 10, I'm sure of it. There will be major versions for new stuff.
Is there a pre-existing Docker container I can plug into a CI built like to do the Drupal checks vectors?
I don't know of any, but to be honest, it's fairly easy to just add Drupal rector into your composer, the composer of your site, and just have it with Lando or DDEV installed together with your site, and then you can run it from there.
there's no further questions at the moment. I saw at the beginning someone was asking like if the slides would be shared. So
yes,
just post it in the chat.
I will. Yeah, so I don't have a link yet. I will export the PDFs just after we finish this, and I will upload them to the conference Dropbox, where the DA will for sure make them available somehow. Also, if you follow me, well, let me just go back in time. So I am also JCN Ventura in Twitter, and I will for sure share a link to the slides there on my Twitter feed.
So I'm not entirely sure, but I think like we still have like 4 minutes left here. Can you maybe confirm this, Aaron?
Well,
yeah, we have like there's like a few minutes left, but at the moment I don't see any questions still in the Q&A section. So if you have any further questions or want to just like chat a little bit about like the topic, like we could move over to hallway track number 2. Joao will be there, and happy to chat with you about like any other of the implications here. I actually have a question for you, like so like because you talked about the churning of the modules like between the versions. Do you think like that's maybe just also healthy, like to clean up a bit, you know?
That's one of the things about the churn from the expense is it's actually presented in a grim manner, but also like something that's good for the tribes. And I think here it's the same thing, like Drupal modules that are not used, that are not supported, that we have less of them. It's good that the survival of the fittest of the best modules keeps showing up. Unfortunately, the problem I see, and I saw a lot of people commenting that in some chats during this week here at DrupalCon, is there's people waiting for modules to be upgraded. And I have to say, I'm sorry, but we need you to act. It's at this time, 10 months later, it's no longer a problem of waiting on your derrière and that it will drop out of the sky, that it will be done. Do something about it if you want it done.
Absolutely.
Okay, so thanks a lot, everyone. It was a pleasure to be here in DrupalCon. And again, I would like to emphasize the best way that we can have a strong Drupal 10, a Drupal 10 with Symfony 6, most likely, is if we have people collaborating with the Drupal 10 readiness initiatives. The initiatives that have been going on the whole week, we need to there are important things that we need to have for sure, like automatic updates. They will make a much better Drupal 10. But if we want to make sure that we're not in 2025 already changing everything to Drupal 11, that we can do it in 2027, it would be nice to have Symfony 6 there. And so for that, work is needed on the Symfony 6 support issues. We need also people to test. And at some point, very soon in the future, everyone that's a module maintainer, we need you. We need you to step up and help that we can all upgrade to Drupal 10 on the day of the Drupal 10 release, or maybe even a few days before, if people are brave enough. Anyway, so we'll meet in hallway track 2, and it was a pleasure. Thank you also, Stefan, and well, all my colleagues at 1X for the support that I've been seeing in the chat. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.